Listen to me carefully. You were never created to remain the same person you were last year. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. It is to live the same year 75 times and call it life. Some people are alive but not growing. They are breathing but not becoming. They repeat their days like a broken record. Same habits, same fears, same mindset. And then they wonder why their life looks exactly like it did yesterday. Let me tell you something powerful. Growth is not natural, it's intentional. You will never drift into greatness. You must force yourself to outgrow the old version of you. Growth begins with discomfort. Every person who ever achieved greatness had to walk through seasons that stretched them beyond what they thought they could handle. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. Comfort feels good, but it doesn't produce strength. Discomfort feels painful, but it's the birthplace of transformation. When you decide to change, life will test that decision immediately. You'll feel resistance, confusion, and even fear. But those feelings are not signs that you're failing. They are signs that you're growing. Think about a seed buried in the ground. It doesn't see the sunlight. It's trapped in darkness, surrounded by pressure, yet that is the only place where it can sprout. If the seed refuses to break, it will rot. If it endures the breaking, it becomes a tree. The same is true for you. Some of the things you're going through right now are not destroying you. They're developing you. Life is not punishing you, it's preparing you. Growth demands breaking. It demands leaving what's familiar. It demands you to stop being who you were and start becoming who you were meant to be. Look at your own life. Maybe you've been working in the same job for years, afraid to step into your dream. Maybe you've been surrounded by people who don't challenge you, who are comfortable in average thinking. Or maybe you've held on to habits that keep you safe but small. Growth is going to feel like stepping into a storm, but that storm is where you'll find your power. When you start working on yourself, you'll notice that old voices from your past will whisper, "Why are you changing? You think you're better than us." Ignore them. You're not trying to be better than anyone. You're trying to be better than you were yesterday. The greatest challenge in growth is not what happens outside of you, it's what happens within. Your old self will try to negotiate with your new self. It'll say, "Stay comfortable. Don't risk it. Don't try again." But comfort is a liar. Comfort says, "You're fine where you are." Growth says, "You were made for more." When you wake up in the morning and you feel that battle between the old and the new, that's life giving you a choice. Stay the same or evolve. Remember this. Muscles grow through resistance. When you lift weights, your muscles tear first. The pain you feel after a workout is not injury, it's growth in progress. That's how life works. Every challenge, every setback, every uncomfortable moment is your soul lifting a heavier weight. You are being prepared for the strength you prayed for. If you ask for patience, you'll get situations that test your patience. If you ask for courage, you'll get moments that demand bravery. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes disguised as struggle. You can't reach your destiny with the same mindset that created your past. You must outgrow the conversations that keep you small. You must outgrow the environments that keep you average. You must outgrow the excuses that keep you weak. Don't wait for perfect conditions. They'll never come. The time to grow is not when you feel ready, it's when you feel uncomfortable. Let me tell you a truth many people run from. The pain of growth is temporary, but the pain of staying the same lasts a lifetime. You can spend years avoiding discomfort, but one day you'll look back and realize you've been standing still. Don't let fear of the unknown hold you hostage. Every time you face discomfort, you're proving to life that you're serious about your potential. Think about a butterfly. Before it flies, it must struggle in the cocoon. Scientists once tried to help a butterfly by cutting the cocoon open early. The butterfly came out easily, but it couldn't fly. The struggle was necessary to push blood into its wings. Without the pressure, it remained weak. The same is true for you. The struggle is your gym. The discomfort is your trainer. And every time you push through it, you become stronger, wiser, more capable. When you look at people who seem unstoppable, it's not that they don't feel fear, it's that they've learned to move through it. They've learned to use discomfort as fuel. They've learned to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's where success lies, right beyond the edge of fear. Ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped running from what challenges you? What if you stopped avoiding hard conversations? Stopped procrastinating on your dreams? Stopped living for approval? Growth begins the moment you stop saying, I can't, and start saying, I'll try. It begins when you silence the voice of doubt and listen to the whisper of destiny. The truth is, your purpose is waiting on the other side of your pain. You cannot become who you were meant to be without shedding the skin of who you used to be. The discomfort you feel now is evidence that transformation has begun. You're outgrowing your limits. You're stretching your capacity. You're awakening to something greater. So don't resist it. Let it shape you. Let it challenge you. Let it refine you. Because discomfort is not your enemy. It is your evolution in disguise. Growth requires separation. You cannot become new while staying connected to what made you old. Every transformation in life comes with a season of separation. A season where you must leave behind people, habits, and environments that no longer serve your becoming. The truth is, it's not easy. It hurts, it feels lonely. But separation is the price of elevation. You cannot climb higher if you're still chained to the ground by the weight of familiarity. There comes a moment in every person's life when you must look around and realize that not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. Some people were part of your journey, not your destination. They were chapters, not the entire story. Yet most people get stuck trying to keep old relationships alive that were never meant to survive their growth. You cannot move forward while constantly turning around to pull others who don't want to move. Growth requires courage. The courage to say, I love you, but I can't stay here anymore. Think about it, a rocket sheds weight in stages as it goes higher. Why? Because what helped it take off cannot help it reach orbit. The same applies to you. Some people helped you start, but they cannot handle where you're going. Some habits gave you comfort, but they cannot carry your calling. If you refuse to let go of what you've outgrown, you'll keep circling the same mountain, frustrated that life isn't moving forward. The higher you rise, the lighter you must become. Look at the caterpillar. It doesn't become a butterfly in a crowd. It isolates itself inside a cocoon. It separates from noise, from movement, from distractions. Inside that stillness, transformation happens. When you're going through your cocoon season, it might feel like nothing's happening. You might feel hidden, forgotten, or overlooked. But let me tell you, it's in the hidden seasons that God, life, destiny, does his best work in you. You're being reshaped. Your wings are forming. And when the time comes, you'll emerge unrecognizable, ready to fly. Many people fear separation because they mistake loneliness for loss. But there's a difference between being lonely and being in alignment. Sometimes you have to walk alone to hear your own voice. You can't discover your destiny surrounded by people who only remind you of your past. If everyone around you is comfortable staying small, you'll start believing that small is normal. But when you choose to separate, you open your life to new influences, new thoughts, new possibilities. Growth requires isolation so you can find clarity. Think of an athlete training for a championship. When the season begins, they separate themselves from distractions, late-night parties, comfort food, lazy habits. Their friends might laugh, saying, "You've changed." And they're right, because champions always change before the victory. Separation is not rejection, it's preparation. You're not cutting people off, you're cutting yourself free. Sometimes the hardest separation is not from others, but from the version of yourself that you've been holding on to. The version that seeks approval, the version that settles for less, the version that says, maybe next time. Growth demands you to separate from your excuses. You can't say, "I want to be great," while clinging to the habits that keep you ordinary. You can't pray for a new season while living like the old one. Separation is proof that you're serious about transformation. There's a point in life when silence becomes sacred. When you stop arguing with people who don't see your vision. When you stop explaining yourself to those who misunderstand your calling. Because growth requires you to stop defending your destiny and start developing it. Not everyone will understand why you're changing, and that's okay. They don't have to. They didn't hear the whisper that woke you up in the middle of the night. They don't feel the fire burning in your chest. You're evolving for something greater, and evolution demands solitude. Sometimes separation means walking away from a place that once felt like home. It might be a job that no longer challenges you, a relationship that drains your peace, or a habit that wastes your potential. It hurts because it's familiar, but familiarity is the enemy of progress. If you stay where you no longer grow, you'll die where you were meant to evolve. Don't let comfort convince you that you're safe when you're actually stuck. In life, everything that grows eventually outgrows something. The child outgrows the crib. The bird outgrows the nest. The mind outgrows limited thinking. You too must outgrow the spaces that once fit you. That's not arrogance. That's maturity. Never apologize for evolving. People will call you distant when you start protecting your peace. They'll call you selfish when you start focusing on your purpose. But what they call change is really you answering the call of destiny. And here's a truth that many ignore. When you separate from the wrong things, you create space for the right things to find you. When you stop chasing people who don't value you, you make room for people who will celebrate you. When you stop settling for less, you attract opportunities that match your growth. Separation is a filter. It removes what's not meant for you, so that what is meant for you can finally arrive. You might lose some people, but you'll find yourself. You might lose comfort, but you'll gain clarity. You might lose approval, but you'll gain purpose. Every great person you admire had to separate before they could shine. The world sees the result, but few understand the isolation behind it. Your season of separation is not punishment. It's promotion in disguise. Growth demands renewal of the mind. Every great transformation begins not with a change in your surroundings, but with a change in your thinking. You cannot build a new life with an old mindset. You cannot step into the next level while carrying yesterday's thoughts. The truth is, your life will never go further than your mind allows it to go. The real prison is not made of bars. It's made of beliefs. And many people are trapped, not because life locked them up, but because they accepted limitations that were never meant to define them. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not in the world around you. It's in your mind. That's where your fear lives. That's where your doubt whispers. That's where your dreams either grow or die. You see, the mind is the soil where your destiny is planted. If you plant negativity, you'll harvest failure. If you plant faith, discipline, and purpose, you'll harvest greatness. It's that simple. You cannot produce fruit that your thoughts don't support. So many people want to change their lives, but they refuse to change how they think. They want success, but their mind is still conditioned for survival. They dream of freedom, but their thoughts are still stuck in fear. They talk about purpose, but they feed on doubt. You cannot have a millionaire life with a poverty mindset. You cannot build confidence if your inner voice is constantly telling you that you're not enough. If you keep speaking the language of limitation, don't be surprised when your life stays limited. Your thoughts are like the steering wheel of your life. They direct where you go. If your mind is filled with fear, you'll steer yourself toward failure. If it's filled with courage, you'll steer yourself toward victory. That's why renewing your mind is not a one-time decision, it's a daily discipline. Every morning, you must confront your old beliefs and ask, does this thought push me forward or pull me back? Because your thoughts either build your future or bury it. Think about how technology evolves. Your phone updates regularly. Every update improves performance adds new features and removes bugs. But imagine refusing those updates. Eventually your phone would slow down, malfunction, and become outdated. The same is true for your mind. If you keep running on old mental software, old fears, old habits, old ways of seeing yourself, you'll crash every time life presents you with something new. Renewal of the mind is your upgrade. It's how you become compatible with your purpose. Let's be honest, the world around you is full of voices trying to shape your thinking. The media tells you what's impossible. Society tells you what you can't become. People who quit on their dreams tell you to be realistic. But the truth is, what they call realistic is often just fear wearing logic's clothing. You have to guard your mind like a treasure. Be selective about what you feed it. Stop consuming negativity and expecting peace. Stop surrounding yourself with people who talk about problems and expecting progress. If you want to change your life, you must change what enters your mind. Every great achiever had to reprogram their thoughts before they redefined their destiny. They had to stop saying, "I can't," and start declaring, "I will." They had to stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks and start seeing them as opportunities. The difference between people who make it and people who don't is not talent. It's mindset. Two people can face the same mountain. One says, "It's too high." The other says, "It's climbable." One stops, the other steps forward. The mountain doesn't change, but the mind does. Renewing your mind means learning to see possibilities where others see problems. It means shifting from victim to victor, from fear to faith, from comfort to challenge. You have to stop letting your history dictate your destiny. Just because you've failed before doesn't mean you're finished. Failure is not final, it's feedback. Learn from it, grow from it, and let it strengthen your resolve. The old version of you used to panic in the storm. The new version learns to dance in the rain. That's renewal. That's maturity. Think about someone who decides to lose weight or get healthy. The first battle isn't in the gym, it's in the mind. They have to stop believing that "I can't change," or "this is just who I am." The body follows the belief. Once the mind changes, everything else aligns. It's the same in business, relationships, or purpose. The moment you shift your thinking, you shift your energy, your focus, and your results. Renewal starts internally, but its effects transform everything externally. You must become aware of the conversations you have with yourself. Your self-talk is the soundtrack of your future. If every time you make a mistake you say, "I'm so stupid," you're reinforcing a prison. If every time you face a challenge you say, "I can handle this," you're reinforcing strength. The words you speak to yourself are seeds. Make sure they grow into something you want to live in. Every day is an opportunity to rewire your thinking. Replace comparison with gratitude. Replace doubt with discipline. Replace fear with focus. The old mind seeks comfort. The renewed mind seeks challenge. The old mind runs from failure. The renewed mind learns from it. The old mind looks for excuses. The renewed mind creates solutions. When you renew your mind, you take back control of your life. And never forget, growth is impossible without mental renewal, because every new level requires a new version of you, and every new version begins with a new way of thinking. The version of you that dreams big, acts bold, and lives purposefully cannot survive inside an old mindset built on fear, scarcity, and insecurity. So challenge your thoughts. Question your limits. Upgrade your beliefs. Because your mind is the architect of your destiny, and the blueprint for your future begins with the way you think today. Growth is the proof of purpose. You can talk about dreams all you want, but until you start growing, those dreams remain only words. Growth is the evidence that you are walking in the direction of destiny. Every living thing that fulfills its purpose must grow. A tree that stops growing begins to die. A mind that stops learning begins to fade. And a person who stops evolving begins to lose their sense of meaning. Purpose is not a destination you stumble upon. It is a journey you grow into. You don't find purpose, you mature into it. Every new level of understanding, discipline, and awareness is proof that your purpose is unfolding. Most people want the reward of purpose without the responsibility of growth. They want success without development, power without preparation, and promotion without transformation. But the universe, life, destiny, whatever you call it, does not work that way. You can only attract what you have grown to handle. If you're still the same person you were 5 years ago, how can you expect life to trust you with something greater? You can't carry the weight of destiny with the muscles of comfort. Growth is your qualification for greatness. Think about it like this: when a child is born, the parents might already have great plans for that child, but they cannot hand over everything at once. The child must grow. The parents know what belongs to the child, but they also know what the child can handle. The same principle applies to your life. What belongs to you is already prepared, but you have to grow into the version of yourself that can manage it. If you were given your dreams right now, with your current level of discipline, would you sustain them? If not, it means there's still growing to do. Look at life from a daily perspective. When you wake up each morning and decide to push beyond your excuses, when you choose to improve your thinking, your attitude, your work ethic, that's growth. When you stop comparing your journey to others and focus on becoming better than you were yesterday, that's growth. And that growth is proof that purpose is alive in you. Because purpose never allows you to stay comfortable. Purpose whispers, there's more in you. It keeps pulling you forward when everything in you wants to stop. Imagine a student in school. The teacher doesn't promote the student because they simply attended class. The student must learn, must pass the test, must grow in understanding. Then comes promotion. In life, it's the same way. Every challenge, every test, every failure, every disappointment. It's all a classroom designed to grow you into someone ready for your purpose. If you quit when it's hard, you're walking away from the very lessons that were preparing you for your breakthrough. Growth will always demand change, and change will always feel uncomfortable. You can't evolve and stay the same. You can't reach the next level while clinging to the habits of the old one. There will be days when you question whether it's worth it, when you feel like nothing's changing, when it feels like your effort is invisible. But remember, growth often happens in silence. Just like a seed buried underground, it expands before it emerges. The roots form before the fruits appear. You might not see it yet, but something powerful is happening beneath the surface of your effort. Growth is not always visible, but it is always valuable. Think about an athlete training in the dark. Nobody sees the sweat, the discipline, the pain, the countless hours of practice. But when the spotlight shines, when the game begins, the world sees the result of private growth. The same thing happens in your life. You might not have the audience yet, but keep growing. You might not have the platform yet, but keep learning. The world may not recognize you now, but when your purpose unfolds, your growth will speak louder than your words ever could. There's a reason why some people rise above others. It's not because they're more talented, it's because they grew when others quit. They refused to settle for who they were yesterday. They kept expanding their capacity. Purpose doesn't favor the talented, it favors the teachable. It favors those who keep stretching their thinking, who stay humble enough to learn and disciplined enough to apply. Growth is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Sometimes you'll feel like life is pruning you, cutting away people, plans, and patterns that you thought you needed. But pruning is not punishment, it's preparation for fruitfulness. A tree that is never pruned grows wild, but never produces much fruit. When life cuts something away from you, it's making room for something greater to grow within you. The things you lose in growth are nothing compared to the person you become. Because of it, there's power in the realization that purpose is not about perfection, it's about progress. You don't have to be flawless to walk in your destiny. You just have to be faithful to grow. Every day you learn something new. Every time you choose discipline over distraction. Every moment you rise after failure, you are proving that purpose is alive in you. The growth you experience in private becomes the glory people see in public. Think about your own journey for a moment. The situations that once broke you now teach you. The mistakes that once embarrassed you now empower you. The fears that once held you now fuel you. That's growth. And that growth is not random. It's evidence that your purpose is shaping you. You are no longer who you used to be, and that's the clearest sign that you are walking in the right direction. Growth doesn't mean you've arrived, it means you're becoming. It's a continuous process, a never-ending expansion. You are shedding old layers, old beliefs, old limitations. You are stretching into the person your purpose requires you to be. Every new version of you brings you closer to the vision you've been carrying inside. Growth is not an event, it's a lifestyle. And the more you grow, the more life begins to respond to you differently, because purpose recognizes those who have done the inner work to meet it halfway. Listen to me, there comes a moment in every person's life when they have to look in the mirror and say, Enough, I refuse to be who I was yesterday. That moment is sacred because it's the birth of transformation. That's the day you stop waiting for opportunities and you start creating them. That's the day you stop blaming the past and start building the future. Life is not waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be sitting ready. And readiness begins when you decide that growth is no longer optional. It's necessary. You were never created to live on repeat. You were designed to evolve, to expand, to become something greater every single day. The old version of you was good for yesterday, but it cannot carry the weight of your tomorrow. The habits that once kept you safe are now the very things keeping you small. The comfort zone you've been protecting has become the cage that limits your destiny. Every dream, every calling, every purpose has a price tag, and that price is your willingness to outgrow yourself. Every champion you admire, every leader who changed the world, every person who rose from nothing had to go through the fire of growth. They were not handed greatness. They grew into greatness. The world celebrates their success, but it rarely sees their struggle. It doesn't see the nights they cried, the days they doubted, the moments they almost quit but didn't. Growth hurts because it demands you to let go of who you used to be. It asks you to sacrifice your comfort for your calling. But hear me, what feels like pain today will become power tomorrow. The road to purpose is not smooth. It's full of detours, delays, disappointments, and doubt. But every challenge you survive is shaping your strength. Every setback is refining your focus. Every loss is teaching you how to rise. Sometimes life will strip everything away, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Because purpose doesn't make you comfortable. It makes you complete. There's a warrior inside you that you haven't met yet. That warrior appears when you stop running from struggle and start running toward growth. That warrior wakes up when you stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your courage. It needs the version of you that refuses to quit, that dares to dream again, that keeps standing when everything else says, "Sit down." You see, destiny is not found in comfort. It's discovered in pressure. Diamonds are born in darkness. Gold is refined in fire. And your greatness will be revealed through growth. Stop being afraid to let go. Stop being afraid to fail. Stop being afraid to start again. Every time you rise after falling, you are rewriting your story. Every time you take one more step when others give up, you are proving to life that you deserve what you dream of. Remember this, you cannot walk into a new season carrying the weight of an old mindset. You must be willing to release, renew, and rise. When the old version of you tries to whisper, "Stay safe," you respond, "Not anymore. I was not created to survive. I was created to soar." The voice of fear will always sound louder than the voice of faith until you decide to act. Once you move, once you believe, once you grow, everything around you begins to shift. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. You were not designed to exist. You were designed to expand. You were not created to follow. You were created to lead. Every time you choose growth over comfort, purpose over fear, discipline over distraction, You are stepping closer to the destiny that has been waiting for you since the beginning. So rise. Rise from the ashes of your excuses. Rise from the prison of your past. Rise from the limits that others placed on you. Your life is not an accident. It's an assignment. You are not a mistake. You are a message. And the world is waiting to hear it. The old version of you has done its job. It got you here. But the next version of you will take you there. Don't be afraid to evolve. Don't be afraid to become unrecognizable. Because when you finally meet the person you were created to be, you'll look back and realize that every tear, every trial, every lonely night was worth it. So keep growing, keep moving, keep believing. Because your purpose is not waiting somewhere out there. It's waiting as inside of you, ready to be unleashed the moment you decide to stop surviving and start evolving. And when you do, the world will no longer ask what happened to you. It will stand in awe and say, that's what happens when a person chooses to outgrow who they were and grow into who they were destined to become.